Hello everyone, in this video, I'm going to discuss the inquiry-based teaching. Inquiry-based teaching to understand it. Inquiry-based teaching. Learning outcomes. At the end of this lesson, the students are expected to first, identify the components of 5A's teaching models. Second, describe how 5A's model is appropriate in mathematics teaching and learning. Third, design a lesson plan using 5A's model. And lastly, demonstrate a designated lesson plan using 5A's model. Lesson 1. The 5A's model. The 5A inquiry-based instructional model is based upon cognitive psychology constructivism theory of learning. The 5A learning cycle leads students through 5 phases: engage, explore, explain, elaborate, and evaluate. The 5A instructional model brings coherence to different teacher strategies, provide connections among educational activities, and help teachers make decisions about interaction with students. Compared to traditional teaching models, the 5A learning cycle results in greater benefits concerning student ability to specific inquiry. The 5A model of teaching. Engage. In this stage, assess the previous knowledge of the learning and helps them become engaged in new concept through the use of shared activities that promote curiosity and elicit prior knowledge. The aims is to organize the student thinking toward the learning outcomes of the current activities. Explore. In this stage, learners are guided to explore and find answers for the questions, issues raised during the engaged stage. Expose the student to a variety of experience at this age. Explain. The third stage in the instructional model is more teacher-directed and guided by the student experience in the previous phase. Students explain their understanding of concepts and the teacher corrects student misconceptions. During this phase, the teacher may provide formal definitions, notes, and labels. Expand, elaborate. In the fourth stage, the teacher provides opportunities and guidance for students to apply the constructed knowledge in a several real-life situation. The phase challenges students to extend their understanding or skills and to practice them. Evaluate. The final phase of instructional model encourages students to assess their understanding and abilities and provide opportunities for the teacher to evaluate student progress toward the achieving learning objectives of the activity. Application and effectiveness. The 5A model is most effective when students are encountering new concepts for the very first time because there is opportunity for a complete learning cycle. According to co-creator Roger W. Beebe, the 5A model is best used in a unit of 2 or 3 weeks in which each phase is the basis of one or more distinct lessons. The 5A models allows educators to create a unique learning experience for students. Teachers who can incorporate instructional models like the 5A model into their classroom help students build a strong foundation of knowledge through active participation. Lesson 2. Lesson plan using 5 A's in mathematics. Engage. Simply write what steps you are going to take to begin the lesson. For instance, you might state that you will ask a student to recall what they already know about multiplication. Note that after the discussion, you'll give a student an example problem to discuss and solve in school, small group, or partners. Explore. State exactly what the student will be doing during the exploration steps. Be sure to mention materials students will use, specific problems they will work on, and guiding questions you might ask to help groups who is struggling with examples. Explain. Write what the students will be discussing and what expected outcomes of the discussion will be. Students should eventually include that there are certain strategies and keywords they can use to work through multiplication number stories. Note that if a student is struggling to get to this point, you can ask guiding questions to stir the discussion. Expand, elaborate. The elaboration focus in giving students space to apply what they have learned. This helps them to develop a deeper understanding. Teachers may ask students to create presentation or conduct additional investigation to reinforce new skills. This phase allows the student to cement their knowledge before evaluation. Evaluate. During this phase, teacher can observe their students and see whether they have a complete grasp of the core concept. It is also helpful to note whether students approach problems in a different ways based on what they have learned. Other helpful elements of evaluate praise include self-assessment, peer assessment, writing assignment, and exams. Lesson 3. Execution of 5 A's. Engagement. In this first phase of 5A learning cycle, the teacher gauge student prior knowledge and identify possible misconceptions. This student-centered phase should create a desire to learn more about forthcoming topics. According to Doran and Doran, the engagement phase is not intended for the teacher to lecture, define terms, or provide explanation. Exploration. The exploration phase provides a student with a common base of hands-on activities. These activities will help a student use prior knowledge to inquire, generate new ideas, and conduct a preliminary investigation. This phase of the learning cycle usually incorporates the main inquiry-based experience, which nurtures student understanding. Explanation. Her students are provided with opportunity to explain their understanding of their experience from the exploration phase. The question and discussion lead students to pattern, regulates, and similarities and promotes them to describe concepts or skills in their own words. Elaboration. In the elaboration phase, students are courage to apply their new understanding of concepts while reinforcing new skills. According to Doran, a student may conduct additional investigation, develop product, share information and ideas, or apply their knowledge and skills to other disciplines. This stage in the learning cycle presents opportunities for the teacher to integrate with other content areas. Evaluation. According to Baby, the evaluation phase encourages students to assess their understanding and abilities and provide opportunities for the teacher to evaluate student progress towards achieving the educational objectives. Formative and summative assessment are appropriate in this phase. Doran provides a list of non-traditional forms of assessments that are appropriate in evaluating students' understanding and performance. Examples are portfolios, performance-based assessment, concept maps, physical models, and journal logs. 5 characteristics of inquiry-based teaching. Process focus. When students solve problems themselves, they internalize conceptual processes. Inquiry-based teaching prioritizes process over product. Investigation. The teacher may pose a problems derived from the class content or student questions. The student then investigate the issues to find an answer. Group learning. A student may work in peers or in a small group when exploring a problem. A student assess one another throughout the learning process, which enables them to share and build upon ideas as well as articulate how they arrive at a solution. Discussion monitoring. As the students work together, the teacher can move from group to group, listening their discussion. Teacher may ask questions to gauge students' understanding and correct any misconceptions. Real-life application. Students solve math problems that have a meaningful life application. For example, a teacher may present a multiplication problem as an interesting story. Brittany has 2 bags of candy. Each bag has 4 candies inside. How many candies does Brittany have altogether? So, those are one of the example of a real life situation. The recap. The 5E inquiry-based instructional model is based upon cognitive psychology, constructivism theory to learning. The 5A models allow educator to create a unique learning experience for students. Teachers who can incorporate instructional models like the 5A model into their classroom help students build a strong foundation of knowledge through active participation. 5A model of teaching. Engage. This stage assesses the previous knowledge of the learning and helps them become engaged in a new concept through the use of short activities and promote curiosity and elicit prior knowledge. Explore. In this stage, learners are guided to explore and find answers for the questions, issues raised during the engaged stage. Explain. The third stage, students are provided with opportunity to explain their understanding of their experience from the explore phase. Expand, elaborate. In the fourth stage, the teacher provides opportunities and guidance for students to apply the constructed knowledge in a several real-life situations. Evaluate. The final phase of instructional model encourages students to assess their understanding and abilities and provides opportunities for the teacher to evaluate students' progress towards achieving learning objectives of the activity. 5 characteristics of inquiry-based teaching. Process focus. When students solve problems themselves, they internalize conceptual processes. Investigation. The teacher may pose a problem derived from the class content or student questions. Group learning. A student may work in peers or in a small group when exploring a problem. Discussion monitoring. As the students work together, the teacher can move from group to group, listening their discussion. Real-life application. Students solve math problems and have a meaningful life application. So this is the end of our discussion, and I hope that you have learned something from this presentation. Thank you and mabuhay!